Hello everybody, this is GeneralJannis, and today I'm taking a small break from math hammering units to look at detachments, the detachment review, and I've chosen to start with the Lords Chosen, no pun intended there, and Lords Chosen is a special for Terminators, and basically all our Terminators seem to have gotten some nice rules. The Blight Lord shooting, the Death Shroud together with Lord of Contagion in melee can crush a lot of stuff with deep strike 6 inches. So I wanted to start by reviewing this detachment. So today, the 10th of the 11th of May, so assembly time of the combat patrol box, and I received my stuff, the codex, the data cards, which are quite neat, and the combat patrol because I want some more Death Shroud, a little bit more Plague Marines with special weapons, and a Rhino doesn't hurt. So as I said, in this video I will be focusing on the detachment review for Lords Chosen, introduction of the detachments, the detachment rule, then looking at the enhancements, stratagems, combos, plays, list ideas, and so on, how to build some lists, and then summary and final thoughts. Before I start, always very happy to see comments and people subscribing to my channel, and a very special thanks to the YouTube members and GeneralJannis supporters for further supporting my efforts to bring you a lot of nice Chaos Death Card content. So looking at the Death Card, the available detachments now on the 10th edition with our Codex, we have 6 detachments in our Codex. The Virulent Victorium is basically the sticky objectives, and it has nice stratagems. This is basically upgraded, let's say basically seems like our index detachment, but a bit more upgraded. Mortarion's Hammer, very popular. You can afflict units from a distance, and it's really supporting our tanks and vehicles. So interesting tank spamming vehicle monster list here. So Mortarion's Hammer sure will also be reviewed. The Shamble-Rot Victorium is if you like Poxwalkers, Poxwalker Horde, and the Poxwalkers are battle line in this one. You get extra Poxwalkers in reserve. You can have up to 150 Poxwalkers. So that's a special kind of play if you like this type of lists. The Champions of Contagion. You can select a different plague each round from -1 save, -1 to be hit, etc. And it's for the leaders of typically Plague Marines. They can be buffed, etc. and attached units combos. The Taliban Summoners is the detachment where you can mix Nurgle demons. I'm not sure this is very strong, but I have to deep dive into that. And then the topic for today, the Lords Chosen, which is focusing on our Terminators. And this is interesting because our Terminators have received a shine up of the rules, better toughness, more wounds for the Death Shroud, 6-inch deep strikes, and there are Terminator leaders, for example, the Lord of Virulence can really buff a lot of our other units. So since all these detachments have these data sheets have been improved, why not look at a focused detachment for those Terminators? And we still have access to the Flyblown Host from the Grotmass calendar. The infantry get scout, but now this has been corrected that the Poxwalkers don't get scout. They can infiltrate, but not on top of scout, and they gain also stealth, the infantry. So we have access to 7 detachments, 6 in the Codex and 1 from the Grotmass. So looking at the Lords Chosen Detachment Rule, the Deadly Vectors, I really liked when I read this one. So at your opponent's command phase, you roll 2d6 for every afflicted unit in from your opponent. If you roll a 6 or lower, the enemy you're rolling for is suffering d3 mortal wounds. Or if they are below half strength, you have to roll 7 or lower. So here is where you want all your double ones and very low counts, not only when you're charging. But it's interesting that if we can afflict a lot of enemy units, let's say from the 3rd battle round, we have 9-inch contagion, we have infiltrate with the Poxwalkers, we can shoot now with Plague Marines and afflict units from a distance. There are other rules that can do that. So rolling and getting some d3 mortal wounds, for me, it's really a fun, fluffy thematic rule. It's not sure you will do a lot of mortal wounds, but of course the enemy will be a bit scared of being in the Death Card's contagion. And yeah, I really like it. It reminds me a little bit when Mortarion, I think it was the 8th edition, where he had this aura when he was close by, he was dealing mortal wounds to the enemies, and already there the enemy would suffer quite a lot. So I really like this mechanic here. Looking now on the enhancements are going for Terminator models, so Terminator leaders. And I'm listing them as I see how they are interesting. I think the Helm of the Fly King, it's for 20 points. This makes that the unit, if he's leading the Terminator is leading a unit, this unit cannot be targeted outside of 18. Be targeted inside of 18 inches, and this is really strong. So I'm thinking a Lord of Ireland's in a big squad of Blightlord Terminators. The Lord of Ireland's, he likes to spot stuff, and all the rest of the Death Guard can benefit a lot. Also his Blightlord that he's leading. And then the enemy cannot come and focus fire on this Blightlord Terminators. They have to be close. Then some other units might target them, or he can't focus all his firepower to take these Blightlords with a lot of Irelands out. So I think for me this is an S tier type of enhancement that will be really strong. A big blob of Blightlord Terminators going for the middle, pointing and shooting at stuff, helping all the others, and not being able to be really focused fired by the opponent. The Vile Vigor enhancement is 15 points. It gives +1 move and reroll advance rolls. This is not bad, so it's okay for our Terminators to move a bit faster. If it was another, let's say another unit of the Lord of Ireland's to go places and maybe to spot better, you could make an advance move, so that's not so bad. It could also be okay for a Lord of Contagion that is leading Death Shroud, maybe after they make their first charge, and then they are a bit, sometimes they don't have so many targets, they could advance and or move at least 6 inches to come closer. And there is a stratagem also in the Death Lords Chosen, which enables us that gives Terminator unit assault weapons, so we could do the advance, re-rolling, and making a big advance roll hopefully, and be able to shoot for 1 command point. So that's also a good combo here. Then we have the Warprot Talisman. It's 30 points, so it's a bit expensive, and it allows us once per battle that we can go into strategic reserves. If at the end of your opponent's turn, if the bearer is not within engagement range of any other enemies, you can take the unit back up in strategic reserves and come back again. So this is quite good for Death Shroud that can deep strike again, but you have to be careful with the strategic reserves to come down so you don't lose them into hyperspace. It's a bit expensive, but could be quite useful as well. And then the Face of Death for a Terminator model, you can force the enemy to take battle shock tests at the start of the fight phase if they are engagement range. It's only 10 points. It's okay to do the battle shock, but this is the leadership and battle shock stuff is not so fun for me, like not being able to be shot at or moving faster and re-rolling rolls. Then looking at the Death Lords Chosen Stratagems, I really like the Signal Pox for 1 command point. In our command phase, one of the Lord of Ireland's if he can see an objective marker within 30 inches, he can choose that one, and for the whole turn until our own command phase again, the enemies in range of that objective marker are counted as afflicted. And being afflicted, this is really strong stratagem. This would allow Death Shroud to deep strike and maybe take this objective. Of course, it's a good synergy with the Detachment Mortal Wounds rule. Afflicting an objective marker on far, maybe your opponent is hidden behind a ruin, but you can see the objective marker, maybe a couple of units there. They are afflicted, they could gain mortal wounds, they could suffer mortal wounds. Death Shroud can deep strike behind them, take the objective, kill them, and stuff like that. So I think this is a really strong weapon if your Lord of Ireland's can see this objective marker. So a strong stratagem here. Mortarion's Teaching I also like, 1 command point. In the shooting phase, the Terminator weapons unit gain assault and heavy. This is quite good. So if you have, let's say, a big blob of Blightlords, they can be advancing with a lot of Irelands, so they can see more stuff. And then you can still, for 1 command point, they can still shoot with their weapons. If they were standing still and wanted to shoot, With a heavy, you will be hitting on 2s instead of 3s, so this is really neat. So yeah, a good thing, and I kind of like all this assault thing, because sometimes you're not exactly the place you want to be. You can advance, go to the place you want to be, and then being able to shoot. That's quite strong. The sickening impact in the charge phase, it's like a Terminator tank shock strat, and you can deal up to 6 mortal wounds if needed. You roll 1d6 for each mortal that is within engagement range, and on a 2+, the enemy suffers 1 mortal wound. You might not need it if you have a big unit of Death Shroud charging something. They will probably kill it with a lot of contagion, but if it's a really pesky target and you need those mortal wounds, you can also do a couple of mortal wounds with this stratagem. The Undying Spite, also interesting, gives the Terminator unit a fight on death on a 4+. So it's a bit 50-50 for each model if it comes back and fight. But if your Blight Lords are being charged by something scary, some of them will be killed. You could be using this to at least fight back, or your Death Shroud, etc. The Grim Reapers for 1 command point in the fight phase allows you to reroll the hit roll for the Terminator unit. This could be quite strong, but it's not applicable for monster and vehicle units. So it's only for, let's say, it's only for infantry, beasts, things like that. So I don't know how useful that would be in reality. As we have seen in my math hammering of Death Shroud and Blight Lords, they can do quite a lot in melee, even without this reroll to hit. But if it's like a big knight, big knight, it won't help. If it's like a very big unit of enemy Terminators, maybe you would like the hit roll here, maybe getting some more lethal hits. Could be useful, but it would, unfortunately, it doesn't work for monsters and vehicles. And then finally, the final one, Blooming Pestilence for 1 command point. At the start of any phase, 1 Terminator unit from your army can get 3 inch more to the contagion range. So this could be useful at times to get more units afflicted, benefiting, for example, for the Blight Lord shooting. But you could also use it a bit sneaky. You could use it at the start of your enemy's command phase to get more units afflicted to be able to rule for the detachment role of mortal wounds. So that's quite interesting to be able to use, as it says, start of any phase. So overall some good stratagems. The Signal Pox and Mortarian's teaching are my favorites here. So the units and combos and plays and the bricks to build the list from, I think the Lord of Ireland's leading a 10-man blob of Blight Lord Terminators with the Helm of the Flying King, that will be really strong. You can spot the enemies for shooting and getting rerolls. The blast weapons reroll all to hit. All the other weapons, all the other Death Guard units reroll once to hit. You can take the middle with this big squad. You can use a Signal Pox strat on a long range objective if possible, making Death Shrouds being able to come down and wreak havoc in melee. The Lord of Contagion and Death Shroud squads for deep strike and melee threat. Probably if you can take 3-man Death Shroud plus a Lord of Contagion, this is 250 points. That would probably be enough to kill most of the targets and deal affliction from other units to make room for them for the 6-inch charge deep strike. You could take a 6-man group if you really want to kill a lot of stuff, but then it's also more difficult to place. So Lord of Contagion and Death Shroud seem really strong from the math hammering I've done. And then Bloat Drones with a launcher, they have a blast weapon now, very many attacks, really benefiting from Lord of Ireland's let's say spotting an enemy, or taking Defiler, as I meant in my previous video now, where the Defiler cannon is also blast and lethal hits. Plague Scroller could also be okay, but it's 195 points, so you can almost get 2 Bloat Drones for that point. So yeah, but all of those units would benefit quite a lot from the Lord of Ireland's buffs. And then to get more things in affliction, to roll for mortal wounds, also to make room for the Death Shroud, I'm thinking small squads of Plague Marines with shooting weapons to afflict some enemies in long range. 5-man squads with Blight Launcher, Plasma and Bolters. The bolters on long range, you have 2 shots instead of the plasma's 1. So maybe bolters and a blight launcher, of course, D3 shots, blast, also benefit from Lord of Violence, afflicting, and then the blight lords can shoot at the enemy. So nice 24-inch affliction unit now. You could consider Lord of Poxes leading one. He could have 3-inch more contagion range. You could, if you have the spare points, adding a talisman to one of the squads to generate extra command points. And then finally, some poxwalkers to infiltrate, screen, hold the backfield. Yeah, if they infiltrate, they could also quite early in the first stages maybe get some enemy units in contagion. So that could be some nice building blocks for Deathlord Chosen lists. So looking now at a couple of examples for Deathlord Chosen example lists. So this one is almost 2000 points. So here we have a Lord of Irelands with a Helm of the Fly King, as I said, a big unit of Blight Lords with 2 Blight Launchers, 2 Reaper Autocannons and Combi Bolters. We don't necessarily need the Flail now, and we want to maximize the shooting of the Blight Lords, especially with a Helm of the Fly King. Probably enemies will be a bit far off, but even if they come close with the swords or the normal weapons, now damage 2, they can do quite a lot. And here I've added one more squad of one more Lord of Irelands and a small squad of Blight Lords. Again, one Blight Launcher, 1 Reaper Autocannon and Combi Bolters. This could get the Vile Vigor to be more mobile and do some more spotting, maybe advancing reroll and spotting things. And then 2 Lord of Contagions with 3 Death Shroud, 2 of those units for the Deep Strike threat. And then 3 Furtive Blow-Drone with launcher, 300 points total, 3 squads of shooty Plague Marines to afflict things from afar, and there was room here for 2 times 10 units of Poxwalkers to infiltrate, screen, and things like that. So this could be an interesting list. A second list, a bit more tweaking here. So I still keep the Lord of Irelands here with a big blob of Blight Lords. We have the Lord of Contagion with 2 squads, Lord of Contagion and 3 Death Shroud here. So here we have the 3 Furtive Blow-Drone with the launchers. Now we have 2 Defilers on top that can be a lot of shooting and melee, so they could be advancing the board. 2 units of small shooting Plague Marines, and then 3 units of Poxwalkers. Here probably you would need to keep the backfield with some of the Poxwalkers and infiltrate with some of them. And a first try list where I wanted also to try some other combos from the Codex. So this was the first one I wanted to try in a Death Guard Mirror versus Mortarian's Hammer, but I was unfortunately was not able to play. We were not able to play the game, and we postponed, unfortunately. But this was my list. So the Lord of Irelands with Helm of the Fly King and the 10 Blight Lord squad, the big guys in the middle here. Lord of Contagion and Death Shroud. I didn't have enough points to take 2 Lord of Contagions here, so 1 3-man group by itself, 1 Furtive Blow-Drone with a launcher. My other ones have mowers and spitters. 1 Plaguebear Scroller because I really like the Plaguebear Scroller to sit in the back, and I wanted also to shoot and try with the spores to have fun with that. And then a big blob of Plague Marines with 2 Blight Launchers, 2 Meltas, 1 Spewer. The champion has the Plasma and the Fist, and 4 heavy weapons, the Flail guys, with Biologus Purifier and Malignant Plaguecaster. So this big squad would be in the Rhino to go up on one flank and come out and shoot and wreak havoc, afflict stuff. 2 small units of Plague Marines, 1 with a Talisman to generate command points and to shoot and afflict the other enemies, and then 3 10-man Poxwalker squads for infiltration. So reaching to the summary and final thoughts, I think the Death Lords Chosen seems like a very fun and thematic detachment, maximizing the Terminators that are so good in our new Codex, and the Lord of Irelands with Blight Lord Terminators and the Lord of Contagion plus Death Shroud Terminators, and getting mortal wounds on top for afflicted units seems to me like an interesting and fun lists. They have some good combos. The stratagems and enhancements are good. and the units can benefit well from each other. And I will be really happy to try my example list before. And let me know in the comments if you have tried the Lords Chosen list and how they fared on the tabletop. So this concludes the video. Please press like and subscribe, and let me know in your comments what you think about this detachment and this video, and anything else for suggestions or improvements or something you want to see in the channel, let me know. And if you want, yeah, you can. I would be really happy if some more people wanted to become a GeneralJannis supporter in YouTube. So with these words, GeneralJannis signing out. Stay safe out there, and bye bye.